Hello, it was Power here with hacking the system. Although it's not going to be presented in the way that I would typically do it. This time I'm going to just talk about the process I've, took of how I got to this point. Because obviously, as you read from the title, this is hacking the system on the Memorial Mobirates. So basically, this is, I think this will get released before the unboxing and that entire shenanigans, but basically you're probably going to be wondering, what the heck led you to disassemble the $150 toy? So basically, the quick gist is that, I decided, I don't have a Ranger key on anymore, but I decided to, do the put tape on the notch for the keys, and then, simply shove it in like so. The issue I ran through, and obviously in the video I had Ninja Red, poor Ninja Red, but I picked tape that was too thick. So basically what happened was that the tape obviously got lodged into here and such. And I was in panic mode because I was like, I couldn't get the key out because essentially this is all I could do. And then I think up to this point I was able to get this far, but then obviously the tape was holding this thing back. So I thought, okay, I really don't want to open this up yet, so I'm going to have to try to find another solution, to which that was lubricating the key. So I lubricated I lubricated this like many times. Again, that's a part of the unboxing, and that did eventually work. I was able to take it out off screen. However, the issue I lied to then was the fact that tape was still lodged in. At that time, it was just in the middle, and I was stupid enough, I was not quick and stupid enough to not attempt to get let's just say toothpicks, two toothpicks, and just trying to just touch it, get the tape and pull it out. I wasn't that quick enough. Instead, to make sure it was still working, I just lodged the key in and just made sure it worked. And it did for a second before before the tape got lodged into the side here. Then it just pressed the buttons down. So I literally just was like, oh shoot, I can't do anything and I don't know what to do. So I just boxed it back up and just hit it. I just put it back in its box and such, and just didn't touch it for a month. This is February. Because I got mine a month late than everyone else, because again, you're going to hear me repeat a lot of this because I feel like this is going to get released all in the same week, but basically, I don't know what happened. So Zarkin paid for this thing in January, at the beginning of January. Everyone else was getting theirs. I wasn't. I was like, did I get pushed to the third shipment or something like that? Because if that's the case, I don't mind at all. No, Tokolocals just forgot to ship mine out. So I got mine at the beginning of February and such. I don't remember what else I got. I think it was just that one box. But yeah, so this was the beginning of February. So literally a day in, I already got my Mobirates jammed. So what I literally did is that I literally just hid the Mobirates in a buy box behind me. Oh yeah, that was probably the other box that came in, maybe, I don't remember. But so I basically hid my Mobirates in that box for a day until I came up with the idea to put lubricant in it. But then obviously I had a month of shoot, I don't know, or I had a month of shoot, I don't know how to get this tape out of here. And basically because of, was it the Blu-ray, was it because of the Gokai Galleon key getting released? I was like, I should probably try to get this tape out as soon as I can and such. So obviously again, I just started to like, you know, poking into the you know, keyhole like this and such. Essentially, like you can, so you have to imagine the tape is right here. I'm trying to do something like this and such, which obviously is not working. So basically, when I try to do this and try to get to the tape, obviously it wasn't doing anything. And obviously with how I have this, it's not obviously gonna do anything. But I got it to the point because I kept, you know, using the keys. I essentially kept pushing the tape back and such to the point it was like just here. So like I couldn't even see it with the light anymore because I was only able to see the tape whenever this was flipped, because essentially the tape was like, I want to say like, it was lodged in between here essentially. And obviously I had to do something about it. However, when I was, you know, let me turn on. Obviously, when I was doing that, I stumbled, obviously, because I will be pressing these notches. So, like, this is like what I will typically hear, because I was like getting Kyoryuger and Go Busters, and I was getting some Tokyuger. But then, like, you know, this time I just decided to press it. And I was like, oh shoot, Dobutsu Sentai Go Busters? That must be new. So I just simply, like, I quickly recorded that on my phone, and I just messaged Josh. I'm like, hey Josh, I found, like, I don't know, like, I found Dobutsu Sentai Go Busters in this thing. Is this new? And he was like, oh shoot, that is new. I never knew about that. I was like, okay, that sounds good. And then, like, I was just digging into it, and then I was trying, again, like, at this point, I was using 2 of these to try to get the tape out, but then that just wasn't looking, and then I ended up coming into this. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, I finally got the Zenkaiger sound. I'm like, alright, cool. And then, like, you know, with the second press, I was like, I was expecting Zenroku Zenkai, but then I was like, is that Gaon? I guess. So again, I filmed that, sent that to Josh. I'm like, huh, looks like we're getting individuals on Kaiju keys. And then he just sent me exclamation marks. I was like, oh, okay. I sent these to Josh because, you know, he's the Ranger key guy, and, you know, he's the only person I talk to that's big on Gokaiger, so I'm like, yeah, sure. And then, like, I wasn't expecting Josh to actually tweet about it, because then I was like, oh shoot. Because I just exposed myself about the fact I own the Memorial Mobirates, because I don't remember which unboxing. I know it's just kind of like, why did you lie about the fact that you didn't get it to the point you made Zarek and cover it up? It's, look, like, Nonsense of the PowerRider is supposed to be, like, all surprises and such. Like, you weren't supposed to know anything. Like, Nonsense of the PowerRider, the whole point of Nonsense of the PowerRider is that it was supposed to be to make it nonsensical, it's like, yeah, it's just completely random. Because it's like, why are you doing this? That's kind of the whole point of nonsense of the PowerRider. So, like, you know, I guess to make the final day worth it, it's just like, yeah, we're going to cover this really expensive item. And it's like, in a stupid way. And it's supposed to be like, when did you get this? You never told us this. Because, you know, people don't pay attention. Or, hey, why did you lie to us? But essentially, yeah, Josh tweeted out about the fact that I found Go Busters and Gawan. That started getting traction. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll try to find at least one more sound. And then, I don't know, and through some miracle, I found Super Ranger, which I don't remember actually what that one was, because that one is actually kind of a complicated one. Because I think that one's through something like this, I believe. Like, I don't know. Like, honestly, again, like, you know, when I get through this story later, like, honestly, I'm just, like, surprised I got Super Ranger. Nope, that's Gokai Silver. I think this one is... Nope. Yeah, this is obviously the majority of the keys. Spoiler. That's a blank, because I don't know why it's loaded with that. Let me find it again. Okay. Super Ranger is the third notch pressed in, and then the last three. So I found this sound, and I was like, I think I know what this is, but I really don't know. So again, I just sent this to Josh, and I was like, I found Super Ranger. And then, like, Josh was just freaking out. He was like, oh my gosh, this is from the finale. I was like, oh. So I was right. Because I was just confused about, like, I understand that it, like, the sound, like, the announcement played when they changed into, like, the power-up forms, but I was just confused as to why it was in here. Like, I understand it's in here because of the, because, you know, there was a mode for the finale. But, yeah, so, essentially, this was Wednesday of, what was, it's March 22nd. March 16th? Yeah. So, yeah, so I found those three sounds. And, like, you know, again, because it was getting traction, like, people were like, are you going to, like, share the sounds? Or, like, at least, like, you know, can you, like, at least release them? Like, share the footage? And I was just like, initially I told Josh to do it, because, like, I was going to head out, or I had to go to Walmart for food, and I didn't get to find NinjaCon. But, you know, by the time I got, like, the second, like, by the time I got, like, home and got that, like, got another reply on that, because the first person that asked was like, you know, that asked that, I was like, let me find more sounds and I'll compile them, and then, like, the second person asked, and I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I just dropped it. And then, Thursday, I technically took a break, just because I was like, I still need to find a way to get this tape out. Because, like, you know, I was like, hey, this is growing some traction. Maybe I can ask for help. Like, maybe I can just, like, plea to the fandom. Hey, guys, how do I get tape out of this? And then, like, one person replied to me about my tape issues, who was on Twitter at spin-54 Greg. You know, he was like, oh, that sucks. Like, I hope you can, like, find a way to get that out. And then even Josh was like giving me suggestions, because, like, obviously it's like the big dilemma is the fact that, you know, the Mobirates, obviously they covered up the screw holes and such, as you can see from here. There's 5 pieces they covered the screw holes with. Obviously, if you watch the unboxing, one of my screw holes was already like coming off. This one was extreme. Like, this one wasn't even like applied well, so that was one step like easy for me. But then, you know, initially I was thinking like, okay, how the heck am I going to like heat this up? How am I even supposed to know what to like remove and such? Wasn't until Friday though that I remembered that formula. Sound ripped the Memorial Mobirates, and I was like, wait, if he sound ripped it, he must have disassembled it. There's no way he didn't take it apart. So I quickly went to his Twitter, looked through like his tweets of just seeing anything on him, like his process of disassembling the Memorial Mobirates, and there it was. He posted a picture of breaking off this piece of the cover, and I was like, alright, I guess I'm gonna have to do this. So, like, he put in like a diagram, like a picture of like essentially the parts he took off. However, the lighting was kind of off, so I really only saw that he took off this, like these end caps, and then this piece. So I thought that was it. And then I had to refer back to the product images of, you know, the parts that they said that were covered up. And I was getting confused because I was like, but he only removed 3 parts. Where are the other 4 screws? So this piece, I was already kind of hacking at it, because if you want to know how I pried these off, I just use a flathead. So, as you can tell, obviously do this at your own discretion. Make sure, like, obviously, do it at your own discretion and make sure you don't snap any of these pieces. I think this one I was getting pretty close on snapping. Luckily, I didn't. Obviously, this requires a lot of prying. That's because these things are very super glued in and they're pegged in. So you're going to have to snap these pegs, which I don't know if I should feel bad about, because again, you're going to super glue these back anyway. This one was difficult to prying out because I didn't really know how exactly to get it out, but as you can see, a lot of wear happened. But then I remember, then it's like, you know, I already had an example of what, essentially where I should pry it out, because I think I was hacking at it at the side, which obviously wasn't going to get me anywhere. But then, you know, there's this like space here that I was like, oh shoot, maybe if I like dig enough in and like pry it out, maybe I can hack it out. To which is what I did exactly. However, as you can see, this end cap here is kind of like shredded, because I think I did kind of like, not necessarily snap it, but like This one isn't obviously as clean as you cannot see. As you can see, this one was glued in pretty well. Not this one. This one only had like a little bit of super glue. And then we get to the worst part. As you can see, this small cover. This is ridiculous. Because I was like, why the heck can I not get this out? And then I realized I had to get this piece out. And I'm like, why the heck do I need to get this out? So this one was the only, this one's really the only one you have to break, because there's no way that you're going to get this entire section out with this peg. So basically what I did is that, obviously after snapping that, obviously I needed to get through the screw hole. So basically, again, I took the flat head, I started shaving the plastic inside, and then I can access the screw hole, and just left it in there so then I actually know which side these screws are for as I mess that up and such. So basically, that's essentially my entire process, how I disassembled this. Now basically, when I disassembled it, obviously, I was just poking around at the pin system, which, I'll get through later. But basically, the pin system, as you can see from here, are 7 notches, like so. Which, from what I know from Bandai Mania, they stated that... Is this still on? But basically, from Bandai Mania, they stated that they expanded on the sound capacity of this. But I would have thought they stated that they added 2 new notches. Gosh, but according to Greg, they only added the 1 new pin at the center, because obviously this is the pin that activates this. So basically, like, that explained a lot as to why Gokai Cross was really accessible for me, because I would have assumed that one would have been like a really complicated one, but it also explains as to why Gokai Cross doesn't do anything within the original Mobirates and the Legend Mobirates, because essentially, because in the original Mobirates there's just a space here, so essentially all it's doing is just pressing this button and ejecting itself, essentially, because obviously when you insert a key, I don't really know how to demonstrate that, but like essentially it's doing that, which is essentially the equivalent of just doing this. So that's why, like I already knew that Gokai Cross wasn't going to work and such. But basically when I was like messing around with this, I was able to get or have more of a clear idea what I was pressing and such, and also I got like 5 new sounds, because I got more Zenkaiger sounds, for example. Oh. I got drawn. Nope, I got drawn again. I was trying to get room. Nope, that still didn't. But like, So I got Juron, Majin, Vroom. Obviously with Majin, I had to, I think because it was an obligation, the first person that got to, well, no, I think the first person that got to know about Majin's sound was Thomas Jujubee. I'm not too familiar with his connection with Majin, but like apparently it's like, I was looking at a reply that he had made to Josh. It was like, if there's Gao, then like everyone must have sounds, and it's like, well, I guess he's gonna have dibs on Majin. So there was that. Then I sent Josh, Juron, Majin, and Vroom during Geek Each Week, I think in the middle of it. And then near the end, I discovered Akiba Ranger and New Hero to Josh and such. And then, I thought that would, essentially at that point, I found, 8 new sounds. So I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure this has to be it. But then just like suddenly, like literally after Geek Each Week, like after I was like finishing up like a conversation with Josh, like I hope I can like find more. Like, because I was like kind of asking Josh, like, gosh, excuse me, but I was essentially kind of like to Josh, like, like, do you have like any idea what else I should like be looking out for? Because like, I know I should be looking out for like Merry Christmas, O's, and Metal Heroes and such. And like Josh was like, yeah, like something about that caliber. I was like, okay, I'll keep that in mind. But then like suddenly I just got thrown into this group chat. And I was like, okay, this clearly isn't a mistake. Because, like, I'm so used to the spam ones on Twitter, so it's just like, okay, this one actually seems genuine. And then like Josh started like like talking, and he was like, hey, like, I'm putting this together because we, as I mentioned before, Greg Spin Dash 54 had discovered the codes for the new Ranger keys because of the fact that the Gokai Galleon keys code is technically under here. So he just decided to open them all up and found those out and such. And it was like, wow, I did not expect the numbers to actually be anything. Because obviously, I think this was shown in my unboxing. I did open up my Ninja Red because I did have to open him up just to try to figure out solutions and such. But I found the number, but then I didn't really think of anything of it. So I was like, huh. So basically, in this group chat, it's Josh, Greg, and then we got John of GreenRanger.com. That was pretty cool to actually have him there because obviously I feel like everyone has to know about GreenRanger.com. I used to go on that site. I don't want to say religiously. I used to go on that site like a lot just to look at the toys. So it was really great to like work with John Green. It was pretty cool. But basically, we're all there for a reason. Obviously, I was in there because of the fact I was the one that disassembled the Mobirates. I was going to be able to help out with figuring out this new pin system and such, and also just because I was already finding the sounds and such. So it was to summarize it, it was a pretty fun experience. Like it was genuinely just cool to actually do something like this. Even though I had like the stupidest display name because I don't know, because obviously for the past few months I've been doing like a monthly theme for my name, so like I don't think I have screenshots, shoot. But in January I was Power and Quanya. Uh then February I was Sappy PowerRider Sappy. Then I went through like 3 variations of my name. Essentially I was PowerRider in the Revit Festival. But for the first half of the month, I was Fear in the Revit Festival, which that's what I was for like half of this chat. And then when Feel My Rhythm actually got released, I became PowerRider Boss in the Revit Festival room. So, yeah, that was kind of dumb. But other than that, it was just I felt like I was actually doing some work. I felt like I was actually doing something that like actually meant something. Because essentially I was well, first of all, I had to have a rundown on how exactly the pin system for the Mobirates worked, because obviously I never owned Gokaiger stuff. So nor was I like as interested in like learning how, to hack stuff back then, because obviously I was 9 to 10 years old. So basically, I had to have like a huge rundown on just how exactly Ranger keys and how the Mobirates read them, and I had to like, I was just having a, I was kind of having a hard time trying to understand like what exactly was different, because my dilemma was that I didn't know that the middle pin was new, because the thing is that I was just, because, when I initially opened this up, I was trying to figure out what exactly was the new pin, because I didn't expect it to be the middle pin, because all of these keys hit the middle pin. So I knew, I knew the keys were unaltered. I knew that. But, like, essentially what I was trying to get to is like, okay, so I understand that the keys aren't different, but was the programming altered to accommodate for the new pin for this version and such? To which Greg explained to me was that essentially the notches that press the middle section of this were just dummy. They were just there to fill the key out. To which I was very relieved, because that was the conclusion I was getting to. But at the same time, though, why exactly did they add the, like, why exactly did they do that? Like, I guess, like, because honestly, though, it's actually pretty smart of them to do that. So then if they were to expand on this, they actually, didn't have to change anything, in that, like, they just essentially have to expand on one pin for the programming. But, like, naturally, if they didn't have anything in the middle, this would have just been empty. So, honestly, it's pretty smart on Bandai that they actually just still left it in. Because that's why, like, keys like Aqua Red, I boxed away my 35 red set. But that's why, because I was using keys like Aqua Red, for example, because O's obviously doesn't do anything because they removed O's. But, like, I was using Aqua Red because Aqua Red's obviously the closest key we have to, like, fill out all the keys or fill out all the buttons. And I was just getting confused because I was like, he's hitting all the pins. So, like, because I thought it would have been, like, really obvious of, like, okay, these keys do not hit this pin, so I need to make sure to not hit, so then I could be like, okay, all the new combinations use this pin, but then I wasn't getting that. Instead, I was getting all the keys hitting the pins. I was like, what is new? And then, like, again, like, Greg explained to me of, like, okay, yeah, the middle pin must be new, which explains Gokai Cross being only that pin, and, you know, simply explain that, yeah, the combinations have most likely been expanded upon by one pin and such. And I'm like, good, that's good to know. Because it was bothering me that nothing did not look like, everything looked natural. So at that point, so that was the end of, like, essentially that night and such. Because the next day, I was just working on just trying to verify whatever combinations Greg or even John will give me. John gave me a really good list of essentially unused pins, to which then I went through, I verified each one. I went through notes and I simply just copy and pasted all the numbers he did and wrote down what they did specifically in this list. Because beforehand, we were kind of going off of what formula diagrammed within his list. But then John told us that formula actually is missing combinations, because formula only wrote down 52 initial combinations, while it should actually be 64, which, yeah, John's right, because that's the typical maximum number that these toys go through, like with the Zenkaiger Dawn, or not Dawn Brothers, but like the Zenkaiger stuff. So basically, with that knowledge, it was like, okay, we now know the actual number, the actual capacity of the Memorial Mobirates. And from that point, you know, like, Greg will, like, send me a combination. He will tell me to verify it. He would tell me, like, you know, like, tell me, like, what sound it makes. And, like, make sure to check the button press and such. To which the majority of the stuff he was giving me were just special Ranger keys. Like, the special Ranger key sounds were literally just, you know, special Ranger key, Yahoo, and then, like, just telling it, like, oh, this is a special item, and such. And then he gave me what I assumed are, like, pack-ins, so, which are the Telvikun TV magazine and the 2 Gokaiger game ones, to which Josh already tested those back in Project Unlocked, or in his review, I believe, to which those just default to their, you know, traditional key sounds, which is interesting. And then apparently in the Legend Mobirates there was a new hero sound for Go Busters, but then just like Go Ranger, Shinkenger, Go Sager, and Go Kaiger, that new hero sound just becomes Go Buster, which is pretty interesting and such. So basically, you know, after I verified all of those special keys and such, essentially what we were working with were just keys that were released. But then John, as I showed before, gave me just a list of, like, pins that weren't used, and obviously that were, I guess, transcribed for this one, to which we found 2 Kaiser, and we were able to I was able to figure out which one was Super Ranger, which again is this pin and such. And as you can see from here, again, I just mostly found special Ranger keys and blanks, which were interesting, because I personally do not understand why. But I think we found 5 blanks, I believe. But, yeah, so we basically, after I did all of that, Greg sorted the spreadsheet, which I don't know if I'm actually able to talk about that. Basically, like, you know, we're sorting this all in a spreadsheet. So then, you know, we had something in one place. Because, you know, when I initially was kind of preparing to, like, you know, dive into the Mobirates, I was kind of peeved about the fact there was no, like, there's nothing like Crane Joe for the Mobirates. Like, people would, like, list out the codes, but the codes are pointless because obviously there's no codes in this thing. Like, people wouldn't put out, like, the specific notches for each key and such, so I was kind of getting annoyed that there's nothing like that. So I was, like, kind of, like, assuming that for the first day we were just going to do that for all of the keys that weren't released, but luckily Greg already had that, so I didn't need to worry about that. But, yeah, for the most part, oh, I should probably mention this. The last sound, obviously, I found before 2 Kaiser was actually, like, because 2 Kaiser technically isn't new because he's already confirmed. The last unconfirmed sound I found for the Memorial Mobirates was Zen Kaiser, which surprised me because I was like, why didn't I assume this? So, because I think I just found him on the whim. But basically, we got that all sorted and such. And then, you know, I just kind of, like, took a day break off of this. And then I was like, you know, just for the sake of the people, I'm like, I was like, do you guys mind if I just share these sounds? Because I already shared, like, 4 of them technically, so 5 of them would technically be new, and, like, Josh was like, yeah, go ahead. I also asked if it was okay for me to put back this thing, which, yeah, of course with that, it's like, yeah, do that. But basically, you know, because I had this disassembled and such, I was like, might as well take advantage of this and just film my actual April Fool's video like that, because I was like, so the idea for the Lightning Collection Legendary Morpher was that I was going to, like, I didn't know what other way to show that was a prototype convincingly, so I thought, like, having it in this state was already good enough. So I don't, again, as of now, I need to still record the sounds. But other than that, that was essentially the entire process of hacking the Mobirates. Again, it was a really fun experience. It's nice. No, it was nice getting to know Greg. Again, nice to actually work on something with John Green. And you know, again, like, thanks to Josh for, like, you know, just putting us all together so that we can get this all in one place and such. So now I'm most likely going to put this all together with super glue, because Riken came in, he was like, oh, how's that thing? I'm like, oh, I finally got tape out of it. And I was like, what? Because I never told Zryken about it. Because it was like, essentially, he was getting all this information, like, kick bashed at him, like a whiplashed at him. It's just like, you got tape in it stuck for a month? And I was like, yeah. Because, like, he was, like, wondering why I wasn't putting it back together. I was like, yeah, I'll get to it eventually, but this will be a fun process.